Hey, what's going on, Bulls? Today we're going to dive right into it. Governor Andrew Bailey of the Bank of England says cryptocurrency is not good medium for payments. Very interesting that he says that. He takes a few kind of jabs here, saying certain things. You know, he's emerged as a prominent critic among central bankers. So he is in the central banking system. It makes sense that he would be bearish or skeptical or critical of cryptocurrency because it basically makes, as you know, central banks obsolete. If central banks are going to be afraid of something, it's going to be cryptocurrency. It's going to be Bitcoin. By the way, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. It really supports the channel. Thank you in advance. But he was talking about this yesterday on Monday. And, you know, here's something that he said that I find very interesting that I want to talk about for a second. He says, given the volatility of the asset value and given the fact that there isn't a real asset underpinning them, again, he says it again down here. Now, I'm not saying you will. Anyways, I'm afraid if you want to buy them, please understand that you could lose all your money, he says. Now, I'm not saying you will. That's not the point. But you could because there isn't a real thing underpinning them. That's a really interesting thing for him to say because central banks are based off of fiat currency, government-issued paper. No one's on a gold standard or a silver standard or anything. These printed pieces of money in quotation marks, they're not underpinned by anything. The U.S. dollar, the Great Britain pound, the euro, nothing is underpinned by anything. If anything, things are underpinned by the U.S. dollar. But we just keep printing more of that. The value of that keeps going down. Inflation, which is the cost of goods and services, etc., just keeps going up because the value of the dollar goes down. So there's nothing underpinning the current fiat system that we all are very familiar with. So it's very interesting that he would say that about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, etc., because Bitcoin itself is the underpinned item. If there's a gold standard, it's Bitcoin, and that is where the value, the store of value, such as gold is a store of value, is underpinned. So he clearly doesn't understand what's going on there, in my opinion. But what's interesting too is he says, along with the UK Treasury, they're weighing in the BOE, Bank of England, potential creation of a central bank digital currency. Now, this would be straight up centralized, not decentralized, which goes against the entire reason for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in the first place, the decentralization. If a central bank were to create a digital currency, which I'm sure they will, it'll be centralized and it'll be digital fiat, where they can just make more of it, but even easier, I guess. They're joining authorities of China and Sweden, exploring the next big step in the future of money. I really don't think that they understand what crypto and Bitcoin, etc., are really all about, the whole decentralized part. Anyways, obviously said there's a lot of work going on in the Bank of England to understand the implications of them for central banking. I thought that was very interesting. Here you have a major figure in the central banking system, mostly of England, obviously, talking about creating a digital currency, but yet talking about there's no underpinning asset underneath Bitcoin, where he clearly doesn't understand Bitcoin is the underpinned thing. That is the gold, as in when we were on a gold standard. Very interesting. I thought it was worth talking about. Something else extra interesting was this: Kim Kardashian and Ethereum Max. What is Ethereum Max? Check this out. This was a post that she put up. Are you guys into? This is her post on her feed. Which feed was it? It was Instagram. Are you guys into crypto? This is not financial advice, but sharing what my friends just told me about the Ethereum Max token. A few minutes ago, Ethereum Max burned 400 trillion tokens, literally 50% of their admin wallet, giving back to the entire Emax community. Hashtags, hashtag ad, swipe up. So this is in the story. This is just something they gave her to post. Do you think she has a clue what burning tokens even means or why that matters? This, when I read this doesn't even make any sense. This is just something that Ethereum Max paid her to post. And let's get into what is Ethereum Max. Very interesting. Ethereum Max has been pushed by Paul Pierce, Floyd Mayweather, but until I saw this, I'd never even heard of Ethereum Max. So what is Ethereum Max? First of all, Emax is not affiliated with any of the developers behind Ethereum. It is an ERC20 token, so it's on the Ethereum blockchain, but that doesn't mean anything. I can go create an ERC20 token today. So can you. As a matter of fact, they take, as this article says, and I agree with, very little technical skill to create. Pretty simple to do at this point. An NFT would be, anyways. Now, what was interesting is when they went to Ethereum Max's homepage, which I couldn't even find, it doesn't appear to be, they claim it doesn't appear to have any information on the homepage about the team behind the project. That's kind of a red flag to me, because there's, 10,000 plus cryptocurrencies now. This just seems like a money grab to me. This doesn't seem like a very serious project. It's granted you can't find anything about it. They're paying money. They're paying people to give them promotion, which nothing against that, but it just feels and seems very straight up promotion to me without any kind of project or anything real going on. So, of course, like I showed you, she'd put hashtag ad on there, so it's not like she's actually for it. And if Kim Kardashian was just organically promoting a cryptocurrency, would you care? Now, I don't mind Kim Kardashian. I don't really mind the Kardashians much at all. They're fine. You know, my lady, she watches the Kardashians, and a lot of times I watch it with her, and I find that they actually do lots of nice things, but they are business people, and they are all about promoting themselves and promoting things, whether they are believe in them or not, and feel how you want about that. But she just got paid a bunch of money. How much did she get paid? How much did they pay her? Well, it's an estimate, but they estimate between $300,000 and $5,000 for most posts. So Ethereum Max, that's a lot, because she has like 210 million Instagram followers. Also, you know, Paul Pierce, Floyd Mayweather was wearing an Ethereum Max t-shirt before he fought Logan Paul in that big fight. And they also said, you know, by the way, it's important to note that Mayweather has been fined over $600,000 by the SEC in 2018 for tweeting about a coin called Centra, which turned out to be a fraud. So not a real credible source there. Mayweather, you know, I'm not a big fan of Floyd Mayweather personally. He really is, he calls himself Money Mayweather. And I don't feel like he has anything he's promoting. I'm not really interested in, because he'll promote probably anything if you pay him enough. So I don't take him to be much of a solid source of information. And they're talking here too about, you know, Ethereum Max talked about being the cryptocurrency accepted for online ticketing purchase for the Mayweather-Logan Paul bout. Now, that ended up being not completely true. Because at first glance, no mention on the official portal for the tickets. Nothing there. And, you know, Ethereum Max, what they really did is they built a middleman portal, MayweatherPaulTickets.com, so they just built a website, and they were allowed to sell some tickets. But they had already paid for them. So be careful here. Just because something uses the word Ethereum doesn't mean you probably want to be involved. Ethereum Max is something that I am personally staying far away from. Another thing I wanted to share with you is this. This comes from Pantera Capital. So they're saying Bitcoin is below trend. It's time to buy, says Pantera Capital. And what do they mean by that? So Dan Moorhead here, they've been front row with Bitcoin for about a decade or so. Now, something I highlight here is Pantera. You know, they're a investing company, capital, all that stuff. So based on their measurements, the way that they do it, they talk about assessing around fair value. So what is something really worth, and is it undervalued or overvalued? So they say 10% of the time for Bitcoin, it's been 500% above what they call fair value. over basically an 11-year trend line, which is basically the entire existence of Bitcoin. 39% inflows. Spent 4% of his time trading north of 775. But right now, why they say Bitcoin's a buy is they say Bitcoin is selling for 36% below fair value, and undervaluation seen just 20% of Bitcoin's existence, in just 20% of Bitcoin's existence. I find that interesting. Obviously, they say it's best time to buy when the market is below trend. Very obvious statement, but nonetheless. And they're saying now is one of those times. So that's something really interesting to pay attention to. Another highlight from this is they claim, and that was from the letter that Pantera Capital wrote, was that they say those who sell Bitcoin every time China bans headline hits the internet, which happens a lot, the people typically end up regretting it. Now, that's just something they say. I don't think that they measured that, but I would tend to agree. And just one other thing, MicroStrategy announcing plans to raise another $1 billion in equity capital to buy more Bitcoin, which is a whole nother article. But I found that interesting. 36% below fair market value. They say that only happens about 20% of the time Bitcoin has been in existence. So is it buy? I would say so, but not financial advice. Make your own decisions. And lastly, I want to talk about Bitcoin's makeover, because it got its first makeover in 4 years. You may have heard of it. It's called Taproot. If you remember back in 2017, 2018, we had SegWit, but SegWit was more of a civil war. It had to do with scaling arguments. And SegWit had to do with, that's how Bitcoin Cash was created, because it created a hard fork. That created a Bitcoin Cash coming off of the Bitcoin chain. And the Bitcoin chain is obviously the longest chain, which is the one that Bitcoin would stay with. It had to do with scaling and block size and stuff like that, being able to do more transactions and doing them faster. But the biggest argument was, if you do that, you're actually taking away the decentralization of Bitcoin. And so overwhelmingly, most of the miners, which have the nodes and get to do all the voting, voted very large consensus to stay on Bitcoin and not go to Bitcoin Cash, which you can see in the price today, obviously. But this one was actually had about a 94% yes vote from the nodes, which are the miners, to do, which had to do with just upgrading it, not changing it in that way. Long story short, Taproot, it's due to take effect in November, but the upgrade, what it'll mean is greater transaction privacy and efficiency, and it will unlock the potential, here's the big one, for smart contracts, which has been dominated by the Ethereum blockchain. So this is really, really, really interesting. Now, it doesn't take effect until November, but having the ability to do smart contracts on the Bitcoin network, Bitcoin chain, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, again, it's called Taproot. It's due to take effect in November. Greater privacy and efficiency, and crucially will unlock the potential for smart contracts. Worth reiterating for sure. And it'll really expand on Bitcoin's utility, because right now Bitcoin dominates the store of value narrative and store of value place. And now it dominates that, and I don't know if anything's ever going to overtake that position. Now Bitcoin can start expanding its utility, start taking over the rest of other things that are in the blockchain universe, like smart contracts, which is what really gives Ethereum its big market value, is the ability to make dApps and ERC20 tokens and smart contracts, which is something that a blockchain does need to have. It needs to be able to have the ability to execute transactions, which is really what a smart contract is for the most part. The Taproot got, again, like I said, nearly universal support. So I think it was about 94% of nodes, which are the miners, because they get to vote. So it really is this decentralized community voting thing. And if you have a node, you and I can set up a node. You just got to get the right hardware, and you can set up your own node. So there are many, many, many voters, and it has to do with the consensus. I think about 94% voted to do Taproot, where in 2017 was SegWit, and that was like a civil war. But Bitcoin came over, and you know what? It's a good thing that SegWit happened, because it made Bitcoin stronger, showed that it's truly decentralized. It just made it stronger. Anyways, what does this change have to do with? It has to do with the digital signatures, because when these transactions happen, there's digital signatures that go on along the blockchain on each block, so you can go back in time and see what was what, but they're not moved on until the hash and the digital signatures happen. I don't mean to get too technical there, but right now what they use is an elliptical curve digital signature algorithm, and what they're going to change to is something called Schnorr signatures, which will make multi-signal signature transactions unreadable. So it adds privacy. Greater privacy, because your keys won't have as much exposure on the chain. Now, this doesn't really matter for your individual Bitcoin address, but it will make simple transactions indistinguishable from ones that are more complex and comprised of multiple signatures. Referred to as game changer for smart contracts, like I was saying before, because now Bitcoin can really start taking over this, capturing more of the smart contract market. And it's going to be interesting. Smart contracts can be used to, pay your rent, register your vehicle, really any kind of transaction. So all of a sudden, smart contracts make Bitcoin compatible with literally any type of transaction, which is what has given Ethereum its big value in the market, like I was saying before. And, Taproot makes smart contracts cheaper and smaller. Quoted as mind-blowing potential from Killeen. Now, I must have missed here who Killeen is. But the most important thing for Taproot is smart contracts, said Fred Thiel, CEO of cryptocurrency mining specialist Marathon Digital Holdings. So this is a cryptocurrency miner, the CEO of a mining company, saying it. The most important thing is Taproot is the smart contracts, and I would agree. The privacy is obviously a big deal, but smart contracts just expands its utility so much. And so I'm obviously very bullish on Bitcoin. That is my number one. Not that that's the craziest thing ever said. That is no doubt the biggest investment I have. And what I do is I actually invest on Voyager, because on Voyager, it's an app. I'll put a link for it in the description. And actually, if you click that link, you'll get $25 in free Bitcoin when you basically deposit $100 or buy $100 of Bitcoin. But the transactions are free. Like when I buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything, I have no fees with buying it. And even better, when I store my Bitcoin or my Ethereum or whatever on my Voyager app, in my Voyager wallet, I earn interest. On Bitcoin, I'm earning over 6% interest, which is paid in Bitcoin. And Ethereum, I think, was over 5%. And something I thought was really interesting that I have some money in was the USDC coin, which is a stable coin. I get 9% on that. So instead of letting my money, if I'm not going to buy Bitcoin, I just have money sitting in the bank. So when it's sitting in the bank, it's losing value because of inflation. So if it's just going to sit somewhere, I might as well have it sit in USDC coin, earning me 9% interest. Because a dollar, stable coin is $1. $1 is $1. So check out Voyager. I'll put a link for that in the description. I highly recommend it. But really, Bitcoin's just going to be more of a player in the world of DeFi, too, which is really, really interesting. I don't know. This is if I'm Ethereum, I am not happy about Taproot, not at all. But again, this won't happen until it take place till November, because they need to make sure it's carefully tested, because they don't want any bugs to show up. Because, for instance, in 2013. They did a migration of Bitcoin, and it actually split the chain in half. So yeah, they want to make sure nothing happens. It's even bigger stakes now. Okay, but that's what I got for you today. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thanks for spending this time with me. I hope you got some value out of it. You're awesome. See you tomorrow.